Hello, my friends. Hello, hello. I am burning the cedar today. burn, 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 burn that cedar. Look at my funny cedar stick. I wrapped this myself rather tightly. But that's what you need to do in order for it to continue burning, because cedar stops burning pretty quickly. Welcome to the temple, my friends. I'm Erin Sunniva, your high priestess. And as we enter the temple today, I welcome the presence of our higher selves, our highest selves. I welcome the presence of the highest consciousness into this space, highest love, highest compassion. I ask for the divine to hold us in the light today, and I welcome the benevolent teachers and weavers of the divine plan to grace this space, to support the expansion and sharing of spiritual experience and education. This is the place where we witness the work that we talk about. We're in it together. We can be present for the unfolding of hearts returning to their true medicine. And you might be called to this space today because you are seeking connection to your divinity, or you're seeking a space where you can dive into your inherent perfection. It's time to remember how to heal, to walk the path of love, and to participate in the restoration of the divine plan on earth. And so it is. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for coming. Hello, Mimi. Thank you for being here, friends. So, I already experienced the Mars and Aries this morning in my own self. So I'm taking care of myself with the help of this beloved tree medicine, the cedar tree. And I love how it pops and sizzles, right? Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Michelle. So the cedar is used in Native American traditions as the end-all, be-all for clearing energies, for, hi, Donna, for really like ending disputes, ending negative energy between people, between cultures, between tribes. And I just wanted to imbue this day with harmony, love, truth, and justice, and with the cedar. Cedar is put on the fire and on the coals in traditional ceremonies after someone has purged or gotten well. Cedar is put down for you to bless yourself after leaving the ceremony and coming back in. Cedar is a beloved of the Native American traditions and Lori. And it's important for us to have relationship with our plant allies. This is one of the beautiful aspects that we will be diving into in our retreat at the end of the month here in Colorado. Hello, Diane. And, plant allies. How can the plants help us, serve us, protect us, especially? But how can we also, self-regulate, self-care with our plant allies? And so we'll be working on that with the retreat, with the women's retreat. And so I welcome you all today. We have some things to talk about, and today we're going to be kind of reviewing the last couple of weeks of what we have been present to in our world, right? Those of you who are present with me and what we've been discussing and working with, and in regards to the Matrix, in regards to the Metatron, Jehovian Covenant, etc. And I want to start out by talking about timelines. Timelines are real. And shifting timelines is a very real thing. So let's start out by aligning ourselves first. So I invite you to place a hand over your heart or over an important part of your body. Just touch yourself. Be in this connection. And I welcome the presence of my higher self, my highest self. I welcome the stellar alignment of my soul, of my being. I align my emerald crystal heart with that of the earth, with her emerald crystal heart. I am in full embodiment of the great being that I am. And I am in full alignment with the golden organic timeline of the highest and best for all humanity and all in existence. And so it is. And so, hello, Jessica. And so declaring these things, right? Coming into declaration, calling in my higher self, calling in the presence of my heart, the presence of the earth's heart, and the presence of a particular alignment, right, with the golden organic timeline. It's one thing to say it, right? It's one thing to say it, but it's another to feel it. So while you're in that process, it's necessary, it's important for you to also feel what is embodied. What do you look like or feel like on that golden organic timeline? What does your life look like, and how does it make you feel? Allow in that feeling of great abundance, the light of golden energy, the experience of healing on all levels for humanity, right? It's like I said, it's one thing to say it, it's another to feel it and make it real. Something happened with me last week that was quite profound and a really big, beautiful lesson. And I removed the reel where I was doing the dowsing rods asking about Metatron and Yahweh, because I was in a particular timeline that was hard to hold, right? I truly believe that there is a reality, an existence for humanity that is uncaged. There is an existence for humanity that is totally void of a covenant, of a control mechanism, of trustees trying to guide and control the direction of humanity. I believe that we have the power within us to hold that truth, hold that as a timeline, as a reality within our beings. And what I think happened last week was that in my accidental mishearing of Alabar Jones's explanation of, what happened in one of his team's journeys with, destroying some archons or an archonic hive that they continue to do, that I heard and felt in my whole being that Metatron and Yahweh were no more. And I, you could tell me that I'm just telling myself this in order to make myself feel better. And that's fine, because I have a Gemini moon. My internal process is like, you're crazy. You're crazy. Well, what do you actually feel like? Oh, let me tell you how I actually feel. Well, that's just unrealistic. Oh, really? Tell me more, And so I have to work really hard to stay in my center, to listen to my heart, to listen to my higher self, to consult with my guides and consult with my dragon, to know what is possible, what is real, and what is potential. So for 5 days, I was in a different reality for 5 days. And within that reality, I was also in a place where there was no more spraying of the skies. There were no more chemtrails. There were other things that I noticed, that there was higher frequency, higher heart consciousness in the people around me, in myself. And guess what day it ended? On Easter. Yeah. So I have this now hyper awareness of conscious choices from one moment to the next, of how things are landing in my reality and how I'm holding them as a belief, and how long I can hold that belief until it collapses. And then old timelines come back in. So it really is about this holding your belief system. You have your belief system. You have your beliefs that you come into this world with, that you either need to magnify or transform. Right? They either serve you or they are leading you to your own healing. And it's up to you to know which is which and what to tend to. And as I'm holding space for other people, I am constantly holding space for myself, for my healing, my evolution, from the top down, right? From the highest frequency to the lowest, dirtiest parts of myself. We all have to. And as we are coming closer into divine alignment, every day I am creating containers where we are in alignment with the divine plan every single day when I work with people. And I notice the days when I don't have sessions and I don't intentionally create that alignment, it affects me. And so I have to, right? And I have been in the morning doing my alignment, aligning with the golden timeline, the organic golden timeline. And what's challenging here is waiting for the world to catch up. Because in my reality, and whether or not that is, the same reality that you're in, it was busted when I entered a big city with a big 5G grid. And I went to my mother's house, who has a 5G pole about 100 yards away from her house. And that was where I saw the first chemtrail for the first time in 5 days. And I knew I was in a different reality. They spray us every single day in Colorado. If there is a day without spraying, I take notice. And we had 5 days in a row without spraying. And that was after I saw an alleged, right? An alleged April Fool's joke of someone announcing, the Health Net announcing that RFK had banned chemtrails. I don't even know if he has that power. I don't think he does, because I know it's a military project with NATO and it's very complex. I don't think he has that power. But either way, I was in the position, in the place on April 2nd to believe it. It wasn't April Fool's Day when I saw it. And so I fully believed it. And it manifested around me. And it makes me just so upset that I couldn't maintain it in myself, because that's what I want to do. I want to maintain it. And that's the hardest part, is that we are subject to energies and technologies that purposefully inject themselves, affect you energetically, and make you and what you structure around yourself fall apart. That's what the 5G grid does. That's what it's for. To implement the daisy of death. So if you know these grids, these cell towers, 5G cell towers, are placed in positions to create the daisy of death so that you cannot escape it, so that your energetic field cannot escape it. And you are constantly bombarded with these millimeter waves that are moving through your body and destroying your own bioenergetic field, and however you choose to maintain it. So it was really an Easter, going home to be with my origin family is really hard, because I'm leaving my reality to enter into theirs and participate in small talk that has no heart center, right? Where we're being told who we are by our elders and how we should change and adjust ourselves. Shouldn't holidays be for you to be with the people that hold you in your highest, right? So it was literally sitting outside that I was like literally rolling my eyes, and I looked up and I saw the first plane in 5 days. So, so that's challenging. And coming home to my space and my reality after that was really, thank goodness for my space. Thank goodness for my beliefs. Thank goodness for how I see the world and how I hold energetic divinity in my space, right? So I don't believe that Yahweh is gone. I don't believe that Metatron is gone. I think that it will take a whole lot of effort on many people, not just a handful of people that are astral projectors, to actually do the thing, right? And I feel like, like I let some of you down. Like I had gone off my rocker or something, because I was in that reality where that was truth for however long I was there, and I was willing to defend it and participate in defending it for a little while, right? Until I was like, oh, that was a mistake. I made a mistake, right? I had misheard, but in my mishearing, I had stepped into a reality where it was true. That doesn't make me crazy. That makes me more aware of how thin the veil is between one reality and another. In the past, I used to think like timelines. What? Switching timelines, jumping timelines? I knew about the Mandela effect, right? And maybe CERN, like collapsing timelines and universes and da 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 da. But now I am far more aware of how easy it is to even enter into other people's trajectory and other people's timelines based on their beliefs, right? Based on what they're, what path they're on and what journey they're on, right? And we all have to hold our own more than ever. And that doesn't mean that we have to vehemently defend it, because I think that is also participating in lower energies that are unnecessary, that are a waste of time. So within this space, the context of this temple space that I create for us to connect and to, even in the invocation in the beginning of this, I read like we're here to talk about the things, to actually practice the things that help us grow, so that we can have spiritual education, not because I'm telling you how it is, but that we're experiencing this together, and and Jessica, it's not anybody's fault, right? I agreed to go to my, to my mother's house. Excuse me. I agreed to participate in the holiday. And, there are atheists in my family, who like roll their eyes when my mom says, okay, everybody, it's time to pray, right? But she doesn't want to pray. And they only want us to be like, should we call your dad? Your dad can pray for everybody, even though he's at home not feeling good. It's like, and that's why he couldn't come, It's like, no, we can pray. And so my sister just did like a little thing, like with her kids, and fine. It's just hard. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go and be with people who are in such a different reality that they scoff at what matters to other people, even though we are deciding to join and get together on a very high holiday for half of the world, So it's just, and they're even just like joking about how like one of the cousins would hate it because we're praying. It's like, you know what? You can pray without believing in God. That you can create energy and say thank you and practice gratitude without believing in God. Do you know that? That is what is just so disheartening about this world, is that there are people out there who will scoff and make fun of you for believing what you believe. And, and also make fun of you for avoiding huge mind control. These are the same people who ridiculed me for not getting the COVID vaccine. Same people, right? And the one who wasn't there that they were referring to has a vaccine injury, who was the most anti, right? So it's like, I have to go and be with all of these fucking boosted people, excuse me, and be in their reality and make every effort to come back into alignment for myself. I was so dysregulated. I was so dysregulated upon returning home. And, so many things. And all I want to do is be in a place for myself where I'm working on myself and, coming into being better in all of the ways, physically, energetically, spiritually, healthy. And I want to be surrounded by people who desire that same thing. And this is the thing is, I'm really tired of just saying, well, it's a holiday, we can all get together, even though I wouldn't be friends with you outside of you being my family. Far-fetched, And so while I don't have, huge narcissists to cut off, I don't have, but we have just completely different lives. And where the other people who are atheists and I'm over here a fucking spiritual alchemist, let's be kind and not rude to each other, especially when we're gathering on the day that's supposed to be a holiday that you don't believe in. It's like, well, why are we here? So there's these practices of discernment that all of us need to have. Like it really is a thing for me to hold my healing and even to hold it up like in the face of my family and to speak up for myself and represent myself. And when I do that, sometimes I'm punished for it. So it's really challenging. And then, coming home and coming back to, oh, fuck, I'm not in that alignment anymore. How do I get back to it? How do I get back on track? And in the frequency of divine love, connected with the highest and best, and loving myself, having compassion for them, and really holding what I desire to create in this world, So thank you, Hannah, for sharing. Oh, it can be so hard. And it's like you have your family and then you have your in-laws, and oh my gosh, I couldn't be so more different from my in-laws, who are like scientists. My mother-in-law worked for Pfizer. My mother-in-law was one of the co-creators of the nanolipid delivery system in your COVID vaccines. They were created for a cancer vaccine on her part, but they used it in the COVID vaccine, right? This is the reality that I have to hold within myself and hold the capacity also of my husband to let him be his own self, because he's still healing from his childhood. I mean, aren't we all? Right? And so it's like, how can I literally never felt another person's anxiety until I met my mother-in-law, because her anxiety ripples out. I can't help but feel her energy. And if I have some erratic emotional experience, my husband goes into trauma, because that's what his mother was like. His whole childhood was like manic, And so if I have a I need a, then he runs away because that's where his trauma is. And I'm like, oh, shit, I was just feeling a certain way, Mars is in Aries. Right? So these people have no idea what I do, and they couldn't even have a capacity of beginning to understand half of the things that we talk about here. It's just not within their purview, So then it comes down to big personalities. I have a big personality, and it's, there are a lot of people who have big personalities, but who are led by their ego, right? And that can also be incredibly powerful and even seductive for some people to wow, this person is so in so much command, like listening to Alabar Jones and his interviews was like a breath of fresh air almost, because nobody's having conversations like these with interdimensional beings. Nobody, right? But at the hard time, really hard to listen to him because he's, very almost like aggressive, and he's obviously angry, right? He's obviously angry about this situation on planet Earth. But I really do take issue. I have a hard time with people, and there are close people in my life that do this, and I have a hard time with it, who say, oh, I did that. Right? There are plenty of people that I have come across also on Facebook, that don't you know who I am kind of a thing. Now, there's a difference between you internally knowing who the fuck you are and owning that and moving from that place energetically in an embodiment. But if you have to say that out loud to somebody, no, that's not who you are. No, that's your ego. If you want to actually embody who TF you are, you wouldn't have to say that. Everybody would know, It's like, next week, my girlfriend, Sarah Lise, she's going to be on the podcast. We're going to talk about all the things. And you've heard me say her name, Sarah Lise. She has been one of the biggest veil lifters in my life. She was the one I received my first Akashic Records reading from, and I was like, oh yeah, I can do that, And then I taught myself how to access the records and so on and so on. And she's been really, really important in my life. And sometimes she does big work, and it's hard for me to say, wow, you're taking, you're taking so much credit, and so there's a part of humanity. There's literally this aspect within ourselves that says, you're not allowed to take credit for doing big, powerful, enormous things that the rest of us can't even imagine doing, right? So when we respond internally like that can't possibly be true, and you're owning it, right? That's really hard for people who don't have a developed sense of self and strong, healthy relationship with their own internal ego. It's really hard. It's really hard. And it's been a process for me as well. But I've just allowed myself to, I'm going to put aside that insecure part of myself that can't believe that one person or a small group of people can pull off something like that, right? Like there are a lot of people concerned about what is actually happening with Lost Soul Rescue. I believe that some of that is really, truly happening. And I believe that some of that is, too big for their britches. Maybe they can't do all of the things that they're saying that they're doing. I don't know. It's not up to me. I don't know. Like it's neither here nor there for me. What matters is, how am I affected? How does that change my reality? Right? And of course there is that, if they're caught in the looping system, if they're working with Metatron, then that's where they are. That's where you will find your lost souls rescued back into the looping system, into that limited light system. So I know you have been, Leila. I know you have been. And maybe we can look at that in the Dragon Tribe, and Rumara can take a look at that, because it's disheartening. And I'll say that last week with one of my students, I made a reel about this. So last week we did a session, and she had a whole life where she was a demon hunter, and she had put thousands of demons into the earth, and that was like her guidance. That was in that life as man, that was the guidance of his being, was to put them back where they came from, which was in the underworld, but in the two-dimensional space inside the earth. And so in the session, we had to take all of those beings and send them back to source. And that was a huge lift. And if I didn't have dragons, my dragon, her dragon, Solaris, Gaia, we were all working together in order to do this. So if energies and demons and souls are not being brought back to earth, or brought back to source, then they are staying within the looping system and within this realm. They still have the ability to come back. They still have the ability to pester and to consume your loosh, right? So different levels of concern. When it comes to alchemists who are acting from ego, be careful. Just know that, there have been a handful of people who have come to me and just been like, I really don't like that guy, Alabar Jones. I just can't. He's just so egotistical. And here's the thing I take issue with him, is that in his interviews, he is setting up the interviews to receive the information that he already believes to be true. It's the same thing as me using the dowsing rods and hoping that something is true, and so I get that answer. It's the same thing. So we have to be in our gut, in our belly, in our centeredness, in our hearts, when we are listening to these other people who are strong in themselves. Pay attention. I am also very highly aware of how Miss Starr leads the mediums. Anyone with hypnosis training should know the power of suggestion and how they are creating things. If you are guiding the medium or guiding your client in a certain way, you're placing things into their subconscious, whether or not they're aware of it. So that is also a problem, right? So we have to have discernment within ourselves, right? Leading the witness. You have to know when that's happening. If you're working with subconscious, if you're working with people that are putting you into a trance and they're telling you what you're seeing, no. Right? Come on. So we need to really pay attention to these, and they're going to be subtle things that are going to make us go, huh? And when you have that, huh? That's your discernment in action. When there is a doubt in your belly, that doesn't feel right. That doesn't sit right, right? Like so many people, they're like, Metatron is here. What are you talking about? Now that's different from Metatron is king, or, oh, you'll find out Metatron is God. Like, yeah, we know. We know that that Metatron wants to be God, and that Metatron has created the overlaying construct of consciousness within this place. That does not make him God. No, 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 no. Right? So very different. And just so many things to really watch out for. And I had this woman, it's just so funny. I have this woman who's like, oh, I've been drawn to you and I want to do a clearing. And I'm also drawn to this other person who says that he's a draconian. And then I'm also drawn to this woman, Lara Starr. Have you ever heard of her? And I'm like, oh my God, my head hurts. And it's like, yes, let's all just listen to our hearts, pay attention to where we are aligned. What is your alignment, and how are you trusting what is here? Other aspects of timelines and belief systems that are, my girlfriend brought this to my attention this morning, so I know she's hoping that I talk about it. But it's really important that we are deconstructing the manipulations that happen around us, right? And things that we want to happen, right? Like, I want them to stop spraying the skies. And I believed so much that they did that it happened. So, if you can really, truly believe wholeheartedly within your whole being that something is the case, it will be the case for you as an individual. But when it comes to things that are collectively based and no one else or only a handful of people are holding that reality with you, it takes a lot more. We need to actually reach a critical mass in order for whole timelines to change. If I'm holding my belief system, that means that I can't leave the place where my belief system is anchored. If I leave the place where my belief system is anchored and I enter into other realities where other people's belief systems are strong, I will encounter them. And how can I hold mine to be true and be for the benefit of all of humanity? There are ways that our internal power is being taken from us by manipulating us with promise, right? For a very long time, we've been hearing about, maybe you've been hearing about this, I don't know, but about the financial reset. And I'm not talking about the financial reset from the WEF, from, Klaus Schwab. I'm talking about the golden financial reset, Nisara, Jasara, right? The return of all of humanity's rightful inheritance. It comes across as a pipe dream, right? It comes across as, oh, maybe there's something that is actually happening, and all of this stuff is happening behind the scenes. And those individuals who are really tuned in with the hope that something like that happens, those individuals are also tuned into Q. They're also tuned into, JFK Jr. still being alive. They're also tuned into other manipulations of collective consciousness, collectives within collectives, right? So A lot of these people are outside of political parties. I would say they're probably libertarian to be the closest to a party. But when we are clinging to hope versus embodying and owning an energetic within our being of your own personal wealth and health, then you're literally clinging to something that's not there. And it's important for us to be really, truly listening to aspects of consciousness that are being hijacked. Like the word quantum, it's tossed around like people don't actually know what quantum means, right? Quantum mechanics means something that's happening over here is also happening over here because everything is connected. That's a very, very, very layman way of explaining, right? So just because I don't understand the quantum financial scenario, right, of this reset, doesn't mean that it's not true. But my body tells me it's a trap for the digital financial system. But if they put the Q on it and say, oh, it's a quantum financial reset, honey, focus on your alignment with your divine inheritance. Stay away from digital currency because that's what it is. And saying that there are quantum I'm not trying to just knock all of this down. What I'm saying is that we need a critical mass holding a belief system in place in order for entire timelines to change or for these energies to come into fruition. And just because you are holding on to a belief that something external is going to happen is definitely not going to make it happen. Because all of this is internal. That's why at the very beginning of this podcast, I was focusing on the feeling, talking about what does it feel like to be in alignment with the organic golden timeline of the highest and best for all. What does that feel like in your body? I know what it looks like externally. Clear skies, no cell towers, organic gardens in everybody's backyards. But how do we get there? It's not like we wake up and we're just in a new world. That's not how it works. We are still in this physical form that has to move through the third dimension in order for change to happen. And change doesn't happen just because we will it, right? We have to realize, come back to those frequency bands, right? That everything is frequency. Third, fourth, fifth dimension, all the way up. These are different frequencies. They're densities, but they are frequencies. And the frequency bands are sine waves. So they go up and down. Just like in the larger eons and epochs, they are actual larger sine waves, right? The Kali Yuga, right? The younger Dryas, right? So we have these large epochs, 56,000 years, 26,000 years, 5,600 years, 2,600 years, right? And within these, we have golden age, right? We have heightened growth and advancement and evolution, and then that lower dip into lower energies and lower realities. And those have to happen in order for those lower energies to be processed, to be purged, and for everyone to go through their own healing so that they can raise their vibration and the wave can come back up. And those waves are happening naturally on their own, but if you're not participating in them, then you are left in those lower densities. And we're all at this moment, those of us who are present to this awareness, trying to hold higher frequencies, trying to hold that fifth dimension reality in our heart, in our bodies, in our minds, in our truth. But if we're, ignoring our lower experiences, ignoring the things that piss us off and not facing them, not talking about them, ignoring them, they don't heal. And those lower densities remain in your field. They remain in your own personal matrix. They remain in your DNA. And your ability to reach those higher frequency bands of energy within your DNA, turning on those other strands of DNA, you have to cleanse the lower ones. So a little bit all over the place, with this talk today, but everything comes back to your belief system. And with spiritual alchemy, that's what we're doing. That's what we're healing, is the beliefs that you're carrying. I believe that we can all truly heal these dense, heavy experiences and emotions. And then we also have to be really kind to ourselves. We have to be practicing listening deeply, having a sense of self so that we can feel, we can trust, and we can know what is true for us and what isn't. Any questions? I want to remind you, being patient, being kind to yourself is of the utmost importance. And that we all need to be giving each other grace, and listening to the things that are uplifting, not that are frightening, but things that actually bring you and your heart into higher alignment. Because we really can exist in a golden age with humanity, but we have a lot of lower reality muck to purge, to get through and transmute. Wars cannot end until we face humans' atrocities. Everyone wants to, keep their attention on what's happening between Israel and Iran and the United States, while whole other countries are experiencing mad genocide. Nigeria is it's really hard to look at. It's really hard to look at. It's really painful to know what's going on. And this information age is challenging for sensitive people because we know too much. We're not supposed to know what is happening on the other side of the world all the time. We're not supposed to be seeing these horrific things that are happening. And it's not to say that you should be blind to it. Absolutely not. You should be informed. But seeing with your own eyes, and when you're, doom scrolling and you're letting the algorithm feed you fear, feed you lower realities, pull you right back into the matrix and make you forget all about those higher timelines that you're trying to maintain within your reality. So, the last thing that I want to talk about, and these are kind of connected because we need to be healing our persecution wounds. so that persecution can end, right? And I know I've mentioned this, but I've been sitting with it and writing about it and processing and really seeing like what a collective ritual or ceremony can look like for healing the witch wound, healing the persecution wound. And so I've decided on a date of May 16th. Excuse me, to have a 2-hour a 2-hour ritual. It's a Saturday. And Donna, it's hard. It's hard. But one of the main things that holds us back from our greatness are these belief systems within us that it's not safe to speak up. It's not safe to speak my truth. It's not safe to even be myself. And I watch those come up around my family of origin, right? When I'm with you, when I'm in this space, when I'm in my office, I'm in my work mode, I can totally, fully believe in myself, my purpose, and my abilities. And stepping away from this space is where insecurities show up, personal shame systems show up, right? And so we all have these different levels of experience when it comes to being persecuted, whether that's criticism from people that we love, or it's religious persecution, all the way down to the Crusades and the Spanish Inquisition. We have thousands of years of persecution to clean up within ourselves. We have a responsibility to do it within ourselves. So I'll be creating that event and inviting all of you and making it very affordable so that everybody can access it. I have been guided to not give things away for free anymore unless it's, individuals, on a case-by-case basis. But Mary is very, she's very strong with me that it's really important that I maintain the law of reciprocity. So I'm going to do this ritual for $22. And, other workshops that are much more comprehensive and, intense to do, right? Intense for me, have a lot of preparation work for me to do, then I charge more. For this one, yes, there's a lot of preparation work and me receiving how it needs to happen so that it works for everyone. But I want to make it as accessible as possible. So that will be March 16th. And of course, the recording available indefinitely. So I hope, that is something that you feel ready for, that you feel called to do that healing and cleaning within yourself. I have a lot of emotions, personal emotions around it, where I want to help everyone get out of their own way. And that's what I'm here for on a soul level, for each of you, for myself as well. So thank you for being here with me today. Thank you for listening and loving yourselves, each other, and keep up the good work. Keep up the compassion. Keep your voice strong and steady. Listen to your heart, please. Yeah. And we'll see. Did I say March? May 16th. May 16th. It's too busy of a time for me to do it before then. So this is big. It's important for a lot of people, and I hope that you'll take advantage of it, because it can only serve you. It can only serve you. I love you all so much, and I hope that you take really good care of yourselves. Okay. Have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.